Right, good morning guys. It's about time I done an explore which has got some sort of industry to it. Back in the day, Britain was great for producing stuff. This was one of those many places. This is Stewartby Brickworks. It's been left here abandoned since, I think it's 2008 it closed down. Always wanted to come here. Was sort of kind of shown the way in by other guys who have sort of led the way over the last few years. Looking around me now, I can see it's like a drone graveyard. Loads of propellers absolutely everywhere. But anyway guys, this should be pretty special if you're into that sort of kind of thing. And without further ado, let's go and do this. Right, the first thing we come across is an old training facility, storage hub. So this is where you guys would have dumped their work boots, maybe some of their personal belongings, go on for training in the doors adjacent to us. All these have got numbers, so everyone probably had a cubby hole to put their belongings. And it does make you think, where are all these people now? What did they go on to achieve or do? Did they just retire? You can see obviously it's scorched through fire. Asbestos about, so we've got to be careful. A lot of old drawers, more work boots, high-vis jackets. They said, as far as I believe, this is one of those trade union training areas to get people within the brickworks, so it'd be full of classrooms, etc. Maybe a mock setup of how to produce, press the bricks, etc., how everything works, like an induction I guess you could call it. Old light switches. A workbench of some sort, and some sort of perhaps container shed. Again, more evidence of fire. Heavily scorched. I'm guessing this is obviously the work of our friendly arsonists again, that have just come along and torched everything in sight like they normally do. One broken carsey. You see the scorch marks everywhere. Wow, had some serious heat. Seriously do not see the point in going all the way through all these. I know there are like some printers to one side, but yeah, very overgrown and full of our old friends, the stinging nettles. You can hear the call of our dear old friend the pigeons, but this must have been office space. See what I mean about printers? It's got the look of an old photocopier, stroke printer, large fax machine. Maybe it's something to do with each plant sent through information to this spot. We do actually have some paperwork, some desks and files. Did not expect to find that. It's weird how fire can take something, but it totally leaves something else behind. That is actually still pretty bright and colourful. What the heck that machine is over there, I'm not sure. Some sort of milling machine maybe? I don't know. Wrong sort of area. Battery pack charger. Old chairs. Voltage. Still looks really, really cool. Honestly guys, I haven't got a clue. They look like there's something to do with rail, because there's like braking mechanisms possibly. Who knows, maybe little trolleys that would have transported bricks and cement backwards and forwards. Whole car stereo up there. Loads of old scaffolding, I guess. But again, there's been some real intense heat in here due to a fire. That looks like a manual, let's say it's like a manual forklift. It's like a wheelbarrow, and you've got a winch to raise it and lower it. Come through from before the times that we actually had proper forklifts, etc. Said, see what I mean about the old printers? They look like rollers. They could be anything. Someone who obviously worked in the industry will know. But they're all burnt the buggery, so you're not going to find out. Yeah, all very interesting so far as we make our way to obviously the big fella, the main reason for being here, which is the sheds at the back. I'll do a quick pan round because we have some jazz mags. Get a feeling, guys, these are where your clocking in cards would have been. So they've got numbers next to them. It's the old time cards from back in the day. Then of course you went over to swipe electrical ones. Right, this is the big fella. Let's get in the belly of this beast. Truly looks apocalyptic. Be very, very careful while we're in here. Over here are all your numbered kilns, so if I find a brick with a number on it, it will be specific to one of those kilns. This is our way in. Wow, this place is huge. Good old-fashioned British industry. We're not the first, and we certainly won't be the last. There's even lighting still working, well not working, dangling. Some of the brickwork crumbling, foliage growing in between. Wow. We'll have a good look. I'll tell you what, guys, this gives off the vibes. A lot of you won't know this, but those who know me and know that I love me theme parks, if you've ever went to, back in the day, Universal Studios, and you went on the Terminator 2 4D experience, which was like a room and they'd do a show, the actors would interact, come around, Arnie would turn up, etc. But there's a scene in that that comes up pretty early on where he meets up with John Connor, and they're in a place very similar to this, and the hunter drones come out. So I can imagine when there's drones flying around this place, this will be very, very synonymous with that. Got some certainly eerie vibes, but it's huge. Multi-floored as well. Looks like 4, possibly even 5 levels. We should be very, very careful in here. Won't take risks. But wow, guys, for years I've wanted to come, and now I'm here. There's Adventures of Paul down the back there. It's tagged up a little bit in places, but I expected this to be swamped with it. The walls absolutely obliterated with artwork, but few and far between. These here inner working areas, a few large pits around, you've got to be careful. But obviously I would turn around and say all your material to make your bricks would have come down these chutes. There was possibly a machine here. They put it in. That's of course if this is the press room, I'm not sure. But they would have pressed the bricks together. They would have been imprinted with London brick, a number from the kiln. Obviously the back of where I am, which is synonymous with this story, flattened pit, with the old brickworks at the back of me, Blue Lagoon. I'm literally about I guess a 10-15 minute walk from that, from where I live. And this goes hand in hand with that. You don't have one without the other. But a huge percentage of your houses that were built back in the day were built with the bricks that were produced here. And now it's just standing obsolete, and it's been empty and derelict since 2008, I believe. So that's what, 16 years? And a heck of a lot of rot sets in that time. It's got a bit squidgy underfoot because obviously it's raining, and this is clay. So I dare say you get huge clumps sticking to you as you walk round. It's kind of also got them vibes, you know, I was saying about Terminator. Remember the old Escape from New York and Escape from LA? Got them sort of vibes. You might have gangs of terrestrial people living within the belly of this place, just waiting to come out and get you. Really, really eerie. And the pigeons chatter and you think there's someone else around here with you, but it's just you alone. Well, it isn't, because there's myself and Paul, but you know where I'm getting at. We go off and we stay within the vicinity of each other, but you're pretty much doing this by yourself. But that's why you do not take the risks. Seeing if it met a desired standard before going out. Just look at all that up there. Mixture of steel and wood. How sturdy it is, I don't know. There's one specific bit I'll probably get up to, but won't go further than that. It's just not worth the risk. You can see the wood itself crumbling away, and it's a bit slippy underfoot, as I said. So you can see the clay's wet as well, with no roof. So perhaps not then. Guessing all of these would have been power generator rooms. And look at some of the old chains just left dangling, hooks and winches. That probably would have been a two-way to go that way, backwards and forwards. It really is a totally different ball game up here, guys. Really, really sketchy. Some of these floorboards where fire has come through just burnt to a cinder, and I certainly would not be making my way along that. It's just not worth the risk. You do not know what is sitting below that. That could be an instant drop of maybe 25 feet. I said it goes up further still. Into yet another section now, and that is just simply stunning. Look at that. We've had conveyor belts, chutes, all sorts, and it's not modern, they're wood. So some of these have gone back decades, and the walkways, foliage getting in amongst it, like a fine coating of dust everywhere. You walk into each section, you have to scrape off all the clay that's collected at the bottom of your trainers. But this is really, really cool, guys. more hooks, just waiting like something out of a horror movie, expecting to find someone hooked up. Obviously you won't, but the thought is always there. You do not know what goes on in these derelict places. Don't think I'd like to come here at night, to be honest with you guys. Not through other people, but just when you've got to rely on the power of torchlight, and especially when it's been wet underfoot, this would be truly treacherous. It's like you've got like mine shaft type things underneath. There must have been some sort of pulley systems working all around here. Some of it's collapsed over time. I said the elements get to it, and being standing obsolete for a good 16 years will certainly do that. Wall's starting to crumble. Eventually it will. Apart from these iron girders, they will rot over time, but you're talking probably, unless it gets knocked down, these will be the footings that were left, with maybe some further outer walls. Everything else will just crumble in on itself as the wood gets wet and the damp gets in. It starts to rot away. But that made an almighty racket when that lot come down. A lot of these rooms seem to duplicate themselves, so we'll make our way back up to the top level and get maybe just up there. Won't go any higher, of course. If any of you guys done any of the tagging, leave yourself a comment below and interact. Of course I do this predominantly for my own enjoyment, but there is an audience out there that loves this kind of stuff, and this is just something that's been sitting there simmering in the background. I've done a lot of your old mansions, I've done a few industrial, nothing major, nothing certainly on this scale, so I thought it was about time. And with the car still out of action, this gave a perfect opportunity, because where I live in Bletchley, you can get to here, Stewartby, by train for £2 return for until at least mid-August of this year, 2024. They had a special when they set the line up running again, so that they would do cheap returns. So obviously we can come this way, we can go as far as Bedford, which is what we pay to do because it's the same price, and you can get off at specific stops on the way. If we went on the way back, we go past Millbrook, and Millbrook, if you remember, we done the piano house, that is actually on that station, and this kind of is at Stewartby as well. It's only to the side of it. Yet another old generator room. Generators are long gone, they've moved them on. Probably had some sort of weight about them and some sort of value, but I bet it took a lot of power to keep this place running. Right, up we go again. I said I'll go to the top of this because this is pretty sturdy. Go around the corner to where some of the pulley systems were. Probably no further than that. As much as anything else, as not being comfortable with it, you do not know what this does over time. And you can see a little bit of rot there. The beams ain't too bad. Further down there, that foliage area, that's just a sheer drop, and these chutes would have been where stuff would have been conveyed. Even higher up, probably double mix, so it probably mixed up there with something and then went down these chutes. down to be worked on the ground floor. This would have had an old belt on it, conveyor belt with everything coming out into here, and probably maybe shovelled by hand. The old engine now. Seen better days, but if you're into that sort of thing, it's truly wonderful. Okay, I sort of point out from where we are on this plateau, this edge, the back of where we are, the brickworks. You see them two towers over there, light towers on the train track. Beyond that you can just see perhaps wheat in a field. Little bit of yellowness showing through on the camera perhaps. Well, that area there, that field onwards for probably approximately half a mile, that is what is proposed to be Universal Studios Great Britain. That's where it's going to be positioned, so less than say 800 metres from here is where Universal Studios is going to sit. And there is no real updates as yet. We're sort of expecting some sort of communication in the next perhaps month or so. They've had their delegations, they've had consultations with locals, a couple of meetings, one at the college which is just to the left of us, another one in Bedford itself, and they come across as a huge success. 98% of the people in the area wanted it. I'm sure Universal want to persevere it because it's big money at the end of the day. So hopefully at some point there you'll see the towers of roller coaster rides, something like Rocket Rods was Disneyland California years back. Rip Ride Rocket, that's the one, which sits just at the front of Universal Studios Florida. Obviously they're just about to get round to putting the final parts into Epic Universe. They've been building that for near on 5 years, and then once that's gone, the next project could be this one right here, just where you can see the security guy sitting in his car over by them kilns there. Those kilns, as I said before, were the bricks. Each one of those kilns has a number, and what will happen here, bricks will be stamped with a number as well as also London brick, and they will all go into a specific kiln over there to be cooked. Here is more sort of making and a pressing area, and then transferred over there by probably, back in the day, probably on small single line trail tracks by a donkey or a mule, and then by vehicles later on. This room has certainly seen better days. It's obviously taken a real hit with a blast of intense heat. Maybe a fire was specifically started in this spot. But you can see all the scorch marks, really deep scorch marks. Didn't burn or trash everything. I guess these are a couple of perhaps car seats that have been dumped in here, probably to add to ballast for it to burn. And you've got another hook, winch mechanism. Of course, I said none of this was any accident. It's all been done deliberately for someone who wanted a bit of entertainment. And make our way back round. Of course, all these clay substance which sticks to your feet, all this is reminding me of Elstow, which sits just over the back there as well, which is now a landfill site. It's where a lot of these places, they would have dug the clay out back in the day, and then they go on to fill it with landfill and then stick pipes in to burn off the excess gas that builds up under the ground. But yeah, that's what happens to them. So Elstow would have been one. Fletton Pits, which is the back of the Blue Lagoon, that also was another one in this general area. And the strange thing is, the rubbish doesn't always come from our area. A lot of it is shipped up from London. I'm guessing this is pretty much, oh wow, what looks like old warehousing facilities. Pretty cool. Make our way around, look at what we can find. Haven't got a clue, guys. Some sort of machinery. Pigeons about everywhere. Warning, fragile roof. You sure? I'll take your word for that. Of course, you've got to be careful because there is a element, as you can see, that is asbestos. As long as you don't disturb it, you should be fine. It's when you go through and you kick up the dust of it and the spores get into your lungs and they scar your lungs, and then you've got a lifelong problem. But yeah, pretty cool. I do like this. I do like this apocalyptic feel. Now that is truly haunting. We've just come into this room and notice that there is a wheel just going backwards and forwards under its own memento. Really, really eerie. I dare say Paul will go and sit on it and have a go on it. But yeah, this is super cool, guys. Just them vibrance of the colours as opposed to just everything black. Yeah, there truly is a heck of a lot to this place, more than just the old making of bricks. But wow, the size of them old doors. A ton of glass on the floor as well, because natural light. This would have had obviously your asbestos roof, but it would have had panels that were glass. Where the heck did all these tyres and wheels come from? I suppose it could have been a service area, but more likely it's just been dumped, to be honest with you guys. Someone's come along here, thought, okay, who's going to know, and do a bit of fly tipping. I'll microwave that. A bit of WD-40, I dare say it'd be right as rain. One of your external brickwork offices, I guess. Remnants of an old computer there. Oh, it's got a horrible smell. Dead pigeon, probably. Yeah, it smells rotten in here, so I'm not going to stick around. Yep, this has obviously been captured by fire as well. Guess possibly some sort of tool room. I'd seen on other videos, obviously someone's thing was eating whatever fruit, apples obviously, and putting the sticky labels off them fruit all over the rackings and tables. Anyway guys, that's going to do it for this vlog. We have had an exceptional time. We've been as safe as we possibly could be. Obviously that can sometimes be out of your control. We could have walked around the top, but it just is not that safe, guys. If you're going to come here, have your wits about you. Be very, very careful. Whether it's some of the wood sticking out through the walls, nails through the floor, holes that just appear out of nowhere, rotten floors, beams, etc., walls that are about to collapse. If you do this sort of thing, you know about that anyway, but any other guys sort of, some people take inspiration from some of those guys who go and do this, and that's when they get in trouble, because they think, oh yeah, well we can go and do that. They go and do it, and then they come a cropper. So just be mindful, take everything one step at a time. It was easy access to get in here. We climbed over a mound, through the side of the fence there was a gaping hole, through a little wooded area, like a thicket to the side, and that brought us out to like a reception area, like a union training facility, and then it was just open. We've not been confronted at all on our way around here. to be honest with you, on the way out, to save us going through that mound, we're actually going to walk past the security office and see if anything is said, just for the fun of it. But there you go, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it. We will see you next time. See you in the movies. Have a good one. Thank you.